Hey, what's up? Welcome to the LuxFit ELIXIR. I'm Pat Savage, and I have maybe the weirdest thumbs of anyone you've ever met. Here we are on episode 7. This one's called Come to Grips 3 Shoulder Chips. I wish it rhymed a little bit better. I think it's still mostly cute. Anyway, I'm really eager to do this episode because it's really getting close now. This is the second to last episode of season 1. And we're kind of coming around the bend on the final components of this internal landscape that I'm trying to improve, help see, etc., synonyms. I'm also kind of nervous to do this episode because it's going to challenge some of the pretty popular notions and strategies that a lot of us use to motivate ourselves. Now listen, have you heard something like this? If someone who's in amazing shape or is very successful or both is prompted with like, wow, you're in great shape. How do you do it? How do you motivate yourself to get in the gym every day? And you'll hear something like, well, I was bullied for being fat in middle school, and now I use that to fuel myself to get in shape and stay in shape. Or, my girlfriend dumped me, and I used that to get motivated to lose 400,000 pounds, and now I'm shredded. Or, on the more macabre side of it, someone might say, well, my father was battling cancer for many years, and eventually he succumbed to it. He had a really bad smoking habit, and his diet was terrible, and I really wanted to use that to kind of turn my life in a direction that didn't go into the same patterns that he fell into. We use these traumatic events, almost everybody, to kind of ignite this turnaround and move our lives in a direction that we think is improved. And how would we define that? I would say in science terms, that's referred to as a catalyst. And a lot of people will say that term. This has catalyzed my journey into being a healthy human being, finally, yes. And as a catalyst, I think it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It works exactly how it should. We get a kick in the ass and start taking our own health more seriously. But let's take these common examples and analyze what often bubbles up with them. We view these motivations as like this piece of our past that we can just reach into our core whenever we're feeling down, or like, I don't want to get up to go to the gym in the morning, or I'm a piece of shit and I need to get it together. You reach deep down and you pull out this diamond of hope. Ah, yes, those bullies. Oh, yes, that boyfriend that cheated on me. And we turn this thing into like this semblance of positivity. And eventually, after enough times of reaching into our core and pulling out our little diamond, we can say, wow, I'm so proud of my hard work. Look at me now. I've lost all this weight. I've gained all this muscle. I've come so far in my mental health journey. But when we reach down into that super deep core and pull out our little diamond as a singular motivational tool, is that realistically what's happening? I think not. You're reaching into a past that's rooted in darkness and sadness and resistance, and you have all these chips on your shoulder, and you're like, yeah, this is me. I don't take shit from no one. Shoulder chips. Oh, but what about Tom Brady? Let's just kick that shit right out of here. Who ever made a good argument with extreme outliers? And that's like the most extreme. Oh, but he talks about the chips on his shoulders all the time. Look at him. Oh, he's like one of the greatest athletes of all time. I think that other football fans would really hate to hear him be called the greatest of all time. You can't deny it now. Anyway, we're ignoring that. 99.9999, many repeating nines of us are not the Tom Bradys of the world. So the catalyst. What does a catalyst do? It ignites something, and then the chemical reactions go on. Or in this case, the emotional reactions are supposed to grow and move on from there. But we're taking those catalysts and expecting it to catalyze again, and continue to create that same exact motivation over and over and over and over and over. Oh, but this has single-handedly made me learn how to eat healthy, work out smarter. But when you reach down in there, you're not pulling out this perfectly clean little diamond. It is just muck and darkness from your past coming up with it. And a lot of times what's attached to that muck is defensiveness and emotional reactivity. That's altogether immature. So what do I mean by that? The defensive stance. It's like, I was bullied as a kid. They made fun of me because I was fat. What do you do when you're in that situation? Don't come at me. I have to defend myself. I have to protect myself. I have to protect my emotional security. You're in a defensive stance all the time. If you're always pulling that up, are you going to be a little bit more defensive even if you're 25, 35, 45 years old? And then emotional reactivity. That's like if you're the example of like a family member who died and it was a very traumatic situation for you, if you're using that as your motivation to be a healthier person now, what's also coming with that is a lot of that extreme distress and vulnerability and sensitivity that was all heightened. And now if you're using that chip on your shoulder constantly, it doesn't take much. Somebody just says one thing that kind of rubs you the wrong way and you just have a complete freak out. Okay, and now I wrote this in my notes to not get a little too excited, but I wanted to now kind of take everything I'm mentioning and relate it back to physical fitness. If you think about like the exercises that you did when you first started working out, they were pretty simple, right? And the same things, maybe it was the same routine or the same conditioning workout or distance, marathon, triathlon, whatever. It was so difficult to train and to do at first, but eventually it wasn't difficult anymore, right? So what did you do? You switched up your routine so that there were more progressions, new modalities, different kinds of things that help you level up your physical game. Now, if you live in a world where you think that reaching down into that darkness over and over and over and over, using those chips on your shoulder over and over and over is going to level up your mental game, I would gently suggest that you can get a ton of benefit by evaluating how defensive do you get sometimes about things that are pretty trivial, or how emotionally reactive are you to things that at the end of the day, you'll be lying in bed and saying, man, I wish I didn't react like that. Okay, and the next point is going to seem really disjointed at first, but I will bring it back around the bend, I promise. We have this pretty common point of view on words like always and never. They're sort of viewed as incendiary language, right? You always act like you're better than me. Well, you never do the dishes. So then that couple goes to therapy, and a therapist would probably say something like, well, hold on, guys. Now, this is some incendiary language here. Let's not use hyperbolic words like always and never. They overgeneralize, they over-exaggerate the situations, and it makes people feel attacked. I think most people would agree that's true. And hopefully this couple now is going to say, oh, yes, okay, let's make a more concerted effort to not use this incendiary language. What a buzzword. It's really fun to say, though, incendiary, incendiary, incendiary. So we have this in therapy everywhere. Avoid incendiary language. Don't use this hyperbole. Always and never should be avoided at all times. But we use this same hyperbole for our motivation. Always improve yourself. Affirm every day that you are enough. You are perfect. Your body is beautiful. What's that? Oh, no. We got to leave out the part where they actually reflect on the things that they were ashamed of or realize that they did wrong. No, because that makes them feel bad about themselves. No, we can't do that. No. Never forget what those bullies said to you in 7th grade. Use that anger to fuel your fitness journey and prove to them that being a chubby kid doesn't define who you are as a person anymore. Hey, Jack, can we confirm that anger is a really common ingredient in the cocktail of being a good person? It is, right? Yeah. Like, you always want anger to be like a major component of what makes you better. Yeah. The very patterns that we're told to avoid in our everyday lives, interacting with other people, are simultaneously pounded into us to use as our motivational tools. If you're wondering why that guy you were dating made you so mad with his hurtful words, or can't seem to let go of the way that one person pushed your buttons and got under your skin, take a peek inward and evaluate how heavily you lean into those chips on your shoulder. It may be time to finally come to grips. Always evaluate and rebuild the constituents that make you, you. Never let anyone dictate how you're supposed to feel. Not even a mullet man from the backwoods of Maine. Boom. That was sick.